which for me, as of recording this, is next week. But for you guys watching, if you're Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with the Try a Chapter Challenge, Romance Edition. So this video is kind of a staple here on BookTube. Many people have done it. And I thought it might be fun to do it myself, so I thought I'd give it a try. I have a couple of different editions of this that I want to do, like specific books I want to focus on. But for today's video, we are going to be doing it primarily focused on historical romance. So as many of you know, I am participating in the Historical Romance Readathon, which is taking place for me, as of recording this, next week. But for you guys, if you're watching it around the time that I post this video, it's currently taking place. So I thought a fun kind of video would be a couple of historical romances that I'm thinking about picking up and seeing if I will for sure pick them up for the readathon. I've got a couple of things that I want to pick up regardless, but I have many historical romances on my shelves, on my Kindle, on my Audible. Like, I've got them everywhere ready to be read, and I just haven't done it yet. So for this video, I've picked out 5 books that I'm interested in for one reason or another, and I think we'll fit at least one, if not more, prompts for the readathon and just kind of see how I go. So it's going to be kind of a video that's a little bit sit down, a little bit vlog style, because I'm going to be kind of reading these over the course of the next few days from when I can actually like sit down and physically read some of these books. So I just wanted to introduce this video, kind of tell you the books that I'm reading first, and then I'll pop in as I'm actually reading them. So the first book is the only one that I actually own physically, though depending on how this video goes, that might change in the future. But that one is The Wedding Bargain by Victoria Alexander. This book is the first in the Effingtons series, which from everything I can find is very similar to the Mallorys, the Bridgertons. It's like a series that follows a bunch of people within this family. And this one in particular follows Pandora Effington. And she's ready to get married, but she has a very specific idea of what she wants her husband to be. And she wants him to be like this guy who's named Maximilian Wells, and he's an Earl. And he's super excited. He's like, yes, I would love to marry the, like, belle of the ball, diamond of the season, like the one everyone wants to be with. Yes, for sure. But she has like a trial of sorts that he has to complete a few things in order to like prove himself, and then they'll get married. So this is the first one. I've got this one a couple of years ago, and it just sounded really interesting, but I've never actually gotten around to it. And I've seen a few other books in this series and thought about picking them up, but I haven't read anything by Victoria Alexander before, so I wanted to see if it's something that might be up my alley. I love me a good series that follows a bunch of people within the same family, and I'm really excited about this. And I don't know, it feels like Hate to Love almost, but not. I don't know. It just sounds fun. The next one that I want to pick up is actually a novella, and that is Surender to Sin by Nicolette Davidson. This is the first in a trilogy, all of novellas, and they're kind of Regency romance slash BDSM erotica kind of books. I do have all 3 audiobooks on my Hoopla, as well as all of them on my Kindle. I've heard a couple of my friends who read these really, really like them, and they're really short, so I'm interested to see how I feel about this one. So this story follows 2 characters, Lord Sebastian St. John, but people call him Sin, and he's an owner of this pleasure club in London called Fallen, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's for like higher end people with lots of money. And then we've also got our main character Grace, who is a widower, and her dad has basically like forced her to wed this other guy, and so she goes to Sin hoping that like they can create enough of a scandal that this guy will like think of her as ruined and decide not to get married. So I'm not sure where we're going from here, but I'm interested to see. So that's another one that I've had on my radar. So next one is Highland Warrior, and this one is by Monica McCarty, and it's the first in the Campbell trilogy. Again, I've got all of these as well on my Kindle and on Audible. It's For this one, it was the Highland aspect of it and the fact that it was set in Scotland, and that's like all I really needed to know, and I was already invested. But this one is just something about the synopsis is giving me feels and like similarities to Never Seduces Scott and other things by Maya Banks, just some of the intricacies of that. Because we've got our two main characters, Jamie Campbell, who is this basically takes place in Highland, Scotland, when there are two rival clans. And so he disguises himself as a possible betrothal to the laird of a rival clan's daughter, and then he goes undercover to the rival clan in order to possibly maybe dig up some dirt from the rival clan, and then it follows him and this daughter whose name is Katrina and their possible relationship. Just the rival clan aspect of it reminds me of Maya Banks's stories, her Scottish romances, and I don't know, I just am interested because Highland, and like this one is one that I've kind of like almost fully decided on reading next month, so we'll see, or next week, so we'll see if I actually, we'll see how it goes. So the next one is one that I don't even know how I came across it, but it's kind of piracy-esque historical romance in my head, and that is Beneath Black Sails, and this one is by Claire Sager. I think something this author wrote popped up in one of the stories of the people I follow on Instagram, and like I went down a rabbit hole, but it's been on my radar for quite a while, and it's on Kindle Unlimited, so I do have it on my Kindle, and it's the first in a series. I think it's 4 books. I'm not sure if there's more than that, but there's 4 at least. Like, I don't know if there's any more planned. And this one has like a fantastical element as well, but we follow our main character, Lady Vice, who has weather magic, and she really wants to kind of own her own crew and own her own boat, kind of maybe not own her own crew, but be captain. That's what I'm trying to say. She wants to be captain. And because she's female, her captain won't really let her have a chance. We follow her, and then we follow this guy named Knight Blackwood, whose whole job is to hunt pirates for the Royal Navy. And based on what the synopsis says, it looks like the two of them are going to, like, I don't know, like team up to do something. And so, like, it's these enemies to lovers situation. So, piracy sounds fun. It's giving me kind of like that Regency, kind of Pirates of Caribbean feel, and I'm excited about it. Plus, romance and history. And also, I think there's going to be fantasy in here because it talks about weather magic. So, I don't really know what we're getting into, but I've had my eye on this one for so long, like a good year at least. So, we're going to give it a shot. And the very last one is actually a sequel, and that is One Good Earl Deserves a Lover by Sarah McLean. This one is one, I read the first book in the series a couple of months ago, and it was just kind of meh. Like, there were parts of it that I liked, but most of it I didn't like. But it's part of a series where it's 4 books, and each book is a different character in this friend group, so it basically takes place at this like gambling type of club, and there are 4 owners of it, and each book follows a different owner. And so in the first book we followed one guy, and he drove me crazy. I didn't like him. I thought he was kind of an awful human. But we saw the other couple of characters within this first book, and they were all super sweet. So I'm wondering if it was just like the first character I didn't like, or if it's gonna, like, I don't know where it's gonna go. But I'm curious because the first book ended with a stellar of an epilogue where it like led up to the second book, where basically like this character, I can't remember if she's a sister or a cousin or somehow related, but like someone who's super innocent comes into this club and basically like is asking this guy to ruin her for marriage so she can't get married or something like this. And so that's how the book ends. And so I'm curious. It's just set up so well. I have so many questions and I need to know where we're going from here. So this one I'm going to give a try to, because like I said, I am curious about the rest of these, because again, these characters were super sweet and I liked them as people in the first book. It was just the main guy in the first book that I couldn't stand. So maybe each of their respective books will be better. But those are the 5 that I've kind of got my eye on for this video. I'm actually going to go ahead right now and sit down and do the wedding bargain first, the first chapter of this one, just to kick this video off. I'm trying to see how many chapters it is, or how many pages. It's 17 pages long, so not too far as like chapters go. But we're going to give this one a chance first, and then just when I get the chance over the next few days, we'll plop in with the other few and see how we do. Okay, so I finished the first chapter. So I have finished the first chapter of the wedding bargain, and I already kind of love it. I don't know if this is must put on for next week kind of situation, but it's definitely one that I still want to read a lot. And I think this is a series that I could really love because it follows, like I said at the beginning, the Effingtons, and it says here that this family is known as being unorthodox. So I'm curious how other people in this family are going to work. But in the first chapter, basically, it starts with our main character Pandora and this Earl, this very respectable rake. She calls him like all these names, and he and her like have this rendezvous. Wow, that's a word I can't say. Rendezvous, and she basically like asks him. She wants to talk to him. Now, as of the end of chapter 1, we still don't know what that is, and I'm still not sure 100% what it is because she makes it sound like she doesn't want to be his mistress, she doesn't want to be his wife, but she does have a proposition for him, so I'm curious what that's going to be about. But they have a lot of like maneuvering and like these funny moments between the two of them, and she likes a challenge and he likes a challenge, and so they end up agreeing to meet later that night in a church graveyard to have like a conversation. And it's all a joke that like she's going to be his mistress, but they both know that she's not. And then you see that, and they go back on the dance floor, and then you see from his perspective, and he basically admits that he's thought that she's really attractive and like has had his eye on her, and he's like almost ready to settle down, but he doesn't want to settle down with anybody else but her. And so the chapter ends with them. Well, she's in the graveyard and someone touches her arm and she freaks out and she's got a pistol on her for protection and she shoots into the night. Pretty sure it's going to be Max that actually like was there. Let's see if I read the beginning of the next chapter. Yes, so it was him. So I don't know what bargain they're going to like figure out, but the beginning of the book, like before we even get to the first chapter, it's got this list here, which is the 12 labors of Hercules. Which is a part of Greek mythology. Hercules had to do 12 different things to become a god, and they're all here. And so I'm wondering if the tasks that she sets for him are going to be based on these tasks of Hercules. Like, I'm just curious. So I think I'm going to pick this one up soon. Again, I'm not 100% sure it's going to be next week, but I am interested in it and I am curious. And the first chapter really ends with a bang, and I kind of want to read chapter 2 just to see what this bargain is, because I'm very interested in it. I think that there's going to be, like, I see a lot of potential for that verbal sparring that I really like to see, that banter between our characters, and I can see that really happening here. And I could also see him trying to go through all of these tasks and she's not making it easy for him, and I think that could be really fun to read. So I am very excited about this one. I've had it, like I think I said at the beginning, maybe I didn't, but I've had this for a couple of years, and it's one that I need to bump up because I'm very curious about it, and I think that this is a series I could enjoy, and so I could see what other things are in this Effington series, and see where it's going to be, because I don't know, there's just something about her writing that I really like, and I'm 15, I'm on page 18, that's where chapter 2 starts, so I'm very, very curious. So this was a good test. I'm for sure going to read this. I'm just not sure if it will be next week, but I liked it. I definitely liked it. It definitely has me intrigued to continue. First one, I'm going to go in the order I said. So the first one is going to be Surrender in Sin. So let me pull that up and let's see how this goes. Alrighty, so I've now read the first chapter, and it took me a whole like 15% of the way through the book. I loved it. So in the first chapter, we get to see both Grace and Sin. Sin's the one who owns the, well, one of the three owners of this place. I don't even know what you would call it, but like, it's called Fallen, and people come here like higher income people. And Grace has been widowed by this man she utterly despised, because her dad's, I think, a pastor. He's in the clergy somehow. So we see her backstory with this guy. Her dad basically sold her to this guy that she despised. They were married for 5 years, and he unfortunately died, and she was like, thank goodness, I'm done. And so she moved back in with her dad, and who basically agreed that she could be a widow or she could marry whoever she wants to marry. And I don't know how long it's been since then. It says that she's just about to come out of her mourning clothes, and I can't remember how long that is, but I want to say like months, like not that long. Maybe a year. I'm trying to remember. I don't know exactly, but I think it's somewhere under a year. And he basically is marrying her off to this guy named Baxter, who is super uptight and super, like, hoity-toity. Like, she's wearing a, like, mourning guard, which is very, like, it covers everything, and he says that she's really revealing. And she's like, what? So she basically is crying, and, like, a maid or somebody comes out and tells her about this guy, and maybe she can kind of force Baxter's hand to leave her alone. So it shows her, and then it switches to Sin, and it shows Sin in this club, and him just kind of interacting with the other couple of guys who own the club with him, and her showing up, and she shows up and they have a conversation, they strike up their bargain. So a lot of stuff happened in the first chapter. Now granted, this is a novella, so a lot more happened than like a normal full-length novel would, but I'm already interested. There seems to be some sort of conflict between Sin and Baxter, because when she mentions that it's him, Sin is like, oh god, not that guy, like he can't stand him. And I don't know if it's just because like he's got this reputation of being like higher than thou, or if there's a backstory there. So that's my theory. I'm curious about their relationship. It's very sexually driven, because like that's going to be the point of the story. There's going to be a story to it, but it all revolves around the sex club basically. So there's going to be a lot of that. So I'm interested to see how a relationship is going to evolve in that. But yeah, I'm definitely interested. This is a good one for a readathon because it's really short. So I would give this one a chance. I've heard good things, so clearly those good things are true. Okay, so the next one, I'm really interested in this Highland Warrior one. So I'm gonna pull that one up really quickly. Where did it go? There it goes. I love a good Highland romance, so I'm excited. But let's I don't know how long this chapter is. The last one I thought it was gonna be, this one says it's about 13 pages or so. The last one, I felt like the first chapter took a long time, even though it actually wasn't that long. So we're gonna dive into this one next, and I'll let you know when I'm done. Okay, so just finished the first chapter. Just by comparison, I am 4% of the way through this one compared to the 15% of the last one. I want to keep reading. So this one for sure I'm reading next week. Oh my gosh, like this. So okay, let me explain what's going on. So this follows Katrina, or yeah, Katrina. Also, I'm really glad that I'm doing this via audiobook, because there's a lot of Scottish Highlandy sounding places that I would never be able to pronounce without the help of an audiobook. So very glad about that. Not in love with the narrator yet, but appreciative because I wouldn't have been able to do that myself. But so far in this story, follow Katrina, and I think she's the Laird's daughter. It hasn't said yet, or if it did, I wasn't paying attention, but I'm pretty sure she's the Laird's daughter. And it starts with her trying on a dress that her dad spent way too much money on. And so she's trying on this dress, and I've already laughed out loud at least 4 different times in this first chapter, so I'm already loving the writing style. And I'm so interested because, like, so her brother comes in while she's trying this dress. Also, at one point, she talks about how low cut the dress is, and now you can almost see certain things, and I just thought that, like, just her description of it was really funny. And then her brother comes in and basically says, like, a cat is stuck in the tree, please help. So she goes out in this beautiful dress to help get the cat out of the tree. So she can't do it in the dress. Well, first, she doesn't know why she's being brought out there until her brother's like, help me get the cat out of the tree. And she goes, excuse me. Her brother's like 12. And so he helps her undress out of the beautiful dress until she's like stuck in her little like shift. And she climbs this tree to get the cat. Well, then the brother gets so excited about having the cat down that he runs away without helping her out of the tree. So now she's stuck in the tree, and the branch she's on is starting to break. And then all of a sudden this man shows up, who I'm pretty sure is our main guy. I don't remember what his name is supposed to be. The Campbell guy, he hasn't given his name yet, but it's gotta be him. And so he basically comes and sees that she's stuck in a tree, and he keeps staring at her, and she's like, basically fed up with him, and says like, hey, stop staring at me. If you actually looked at where I was, you'd see that I'm stuck in this tree. Help me. And he basically, she says, just hurry up and help me down now. And he doesn't take this well, and the chapter literally ends with him saying, no, I don't think I shall. I need to know. So their banter's already amazing. I am already sucked into the, like, it kind of hurts me that I'm gonna have to wait a week to finish this book, because like I want to know, you know, like I want to know what's gonna happen. So I might have to sneak in one more chapter just to get her out of the tree because I'm so interested. This one for sure. I'm gonna find something to fit in. I think there's a Highland prompt, so I'll make sure that I fit this in for the Highland prompt, because like I'm so invested already. Like I'm 4% of the way through this book, and I'm already like, I need more. I need more of them. So this is, so far, this is, yes, a winner from me. Hello, we're here to wrap up the last couple in this chapter tag. So I've got my Kindle. We're going to start with the Beneath the Sails one, which I'm trying to figure out how long this first chapter is. Looks like this says five pages. That can't be right. We'll see what happens. These are baby chapters, so we might have to do a couple of them, but I'm gonna give it a try, and I'll let you know what I think. I'm excited about this one because it's been on my radar for such a long time. So I finished the first chapter. I'm not entirely sure how long it was as far as like pages and stuff. And it's like barely scratching the surface. I was looking at the amount of chapters this book has, and it's like, well, I'm gonna find it, but like it's ridiculous. Like 50, oh no, well over 50. 58 chapters are in this book. So it's one that you could get through relatively easy because there are very short chapters, and I don't know about everybody else, but for me, I get through it quicker with short chapters for some reason. But it was very interesting. I'm curious to see where we go because it is giving me those Pirates of the Caribbean feel. We followed our main character, Lady Vice, and she is on this ship. Basically, she and a bunch of other pirates that she lives with on the ship, has taken over this other ship of this captain and a bunch of enslaved people. And at the time, we learn throughout the chapter, at the time, slavery has been banned, and they're still doing it. And so they basically like marooned them on this island. We don't learn a whole lot. We learn that she wants to be captain, which we kind of knew from the synopsis. We learn that she was in command for now, and then once she gets back on the ship, then she'll be under the command of the actual captain. I'm wondering if she's first mate, because she has that feel to it, like she has the responsibility of first mate, but I'm not sure she actually is. And she really wants to be a captain, but her captain has promised her that he will give her a ship to captain, and he just hasn't done it yet. And so she's hopeful that this ship that they took over from this captain will be hers. I'm gonna assume probably not. That's really all we know. I mean, we know that there is a bounty on her head because they leave this captain and his men, the one that had the ship with the enslaved people on it, on this island, and as she's leaving, he basically says there's a bounty on your head of like 1,000 or something, 1,000 guineas, and is basically trying to like say, hey, maybe your crew should, you know, send you in for that amount of money. And she turns to one of her crewmates and is like, wow, that went up. And so like they're joking about it. So clearly her crew's not going to turn her in. But we learn that she is wanted. We learn that she has magic. She's an extension of the sea, she says. And so she's got this magic where she was able to like pull the tide in to help her move their little like itty bitty ship to the shore to leave them in there. So we don't know a whole lot. We haven't met the other guy yet. I started the second chapter just a little bit to see if we got his perspective, and we don't. So I'm not sure when he will show up, and I'm also not sure if it'll be dual perspective or if it'll just be her perspective and then we'll see him show up like eventually. I'm not sure. Am I interested in this? Absolutely. I like the piracy kind of feel of it, but I don't think it's like I need to pick it up right now. I feel like I need a couple more chapters to really get invested. I'm interested, but I don't understand the world. They mention the Fae, which makes it sound like it's a world where Fae are in control, but I don't know anything about that. Like, they don't really explain anything about that except for that Fae don't like slavery, so they've, you know, abolished it. And yeah, I don't know. So I'm wondering if it's a world where like Fae are on top and humans are thought of as not great because the captain that she like left on the island basically said, how can you do this to your own kind or your own people? And she's like, well, you enslaved people, you're not good. And so that makes me think that like she is human with like a power, and maybe in this world the Fae are on top. I don't know. I'm interested to see, but we don't get a whole lot of explanation about the world. So I'm curious when we'll learn more about the world building there. But I enjoyed it. It was very quick. I think, like I said, I need a couple more chapters to really get invested, but that one was pretty good. I'll take it. I will for sure pick it up. It's not one that I'm like, oh, now I'm for sure not picking it up. I will for sure pick it up. It just won't be right away. Okay, I moved you closer because you felt very far away. The next one is the last one that we're going to do, and that is One Good Earl Deserves a Lover by Sarah MacLean. This one is the second in the Rule of Scoundrels series. I'm trying to open it now to see how long the first chapter is. I'm really curious if the first chapter is just going to be the dedication of this is for the girls who wear glasses. I approve. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be, yeah, it looks like there's a prologue. We'll read the prologue, and I'm curious to see if the prologue, I think the prologue is going to be the epilogue from the first book. That really got me interested in it because, I don't know, I've seen that before, where like an epilogue has been put in to like really get you interested in the book, and then it becomes like the prologue or part of the first chapter in the second book. So I've got it here on my Hoopla, so I'm going to dive into those, and we'll see. We'll see what we think. This is the one that I'm the most hesitant about of all the books on this list. So, fingers crossed. Okay, so I've read the prologue and the first chapter. And the prologue, it makes no sense yet. I'm sure it will become important later, but it makes no sense right now. Because we follow this guy who's the second son. And he, you know, goes out into town and sleeps around and gambles and stays up late. Like, that's his thing. And he's really happy with that because he doesn't want to be, like, the heir. He's happy he has a brother to be the heir, to be proper, to get married and all that stuff because he's like, I don't want to do any of that. Well, he comes home late one night and his dad's valet, or maybe the butler, I can't remember which one it is, asks him, like, where he's been and calls him Lord Bane, which is what they called his brother. And he was like, excuse me? So it's hinted at, it's never said, but his brother has died somehow, and he is now heir. And then it skips to 7 years in the future, and now we're with our main two characters. So I don't know what that's gonna do with anything else, but we follow literally right as the first book ends. So the epilogue ends with her basically saying, I would like you to ruin me, or something along those lines. And this one starts with him, like, reacting to that. So the first chapter is her just trying to convince him to do the thing. But they aren't really talking about what it is until the end. So basically what she wants is not to be, like, ruined. Like, she doesn't want to sleep with him. She wants to be, she's very scientific brained, and so she wants to explain what that's going to be. She doesn't know anything about marriage. She doesn't know anything about how kids are created. And so she understands some things because she's seen, like, animals mate on the farm and stuff, but she's never really knows how it relates to humans, and she realizes that there are some differences there. So of course whatever she's seeing is not going to be the same. So she basically comes to him and asks for, like, a lecture of sorts where he can explain how sex works, how getting pregnant works, how they're going to have kids, that kind of stuff. And she hints at, like, possibly him explaining what his anatomy is, because, like, she's like, I've seen some illustrations, but I'm sure they're wrong. And he basically, like, straight up refuses her every time again, but he's, like, also asking her questions about this because he's curious about her. And then she just kind of, like, walks out of the room. So I'm not sure where we're gonna go, but I am interested. And it is reminded to the reader that she is the sister of the main female lead in the first book. So that's the connection there. I knew she was really close to the main female, but I couldn't remember why, and it's because it's one of her sisters. And she's agreed to marry this man, and she's excited about it. Like, she doesn't love him, and she's like, I'm odd. I'm never gonna find someone who fully fits me, so this is the best option I've got. He'll help me he'll ask me to help him run the estate. I'll have, like, the library he's got. He's offered to, like, give her some room for experiments because she's very, like I said, sciencey, so she's very into that kind of stuff, and so he'll give her spots to do that. She's very interested, and this seems to be okay with getting married, but she just wants to know the more intimate aspects of it. So I think I will continue with this series. I'm not sure this is going to be a next week book, but I do think I am going to continue because I'm very interested to see where it's going to go, because, like, we still don't get an answer. He's kind of refused her, but she seems like someone who isn't going to take no for an answer. So I'm wondering how they're actually going to get into the situation where he is teaching her of sorts. And of course they're going to fall for each other by the end of the book, and I'm very interested in that. But I don't know. I'm just curious, you know? Oh, but our main male lead, I forgot to tell you the names. So the main male lead is called Cross. I don't remember what his, like, actual name is, but he goes by Cross. And she is Lady Philippa, but she goes by Pippa. So, he's someone that, like, we met in the first book, and I really came to admire. He does all the books and the finances and stuff for this gambling den. But I think I will continue. I just don't think I'll finish it. Like, I don't think I'll stick it in for next week, but I will for sure, I think, continue, because while the first one wasn't great, again, I was just super interested in these other characters and the story that they're planning on telling in this one specifically. So this one is probably one I'm going to read at some point. But that's it. Those are the 5 books for this Try a Chapter challenge video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below what you guys think of these books. Would you pick them up based on some of the things that I said? I tried to go into as much detail as I could about the first chapter because I feel like the first chapter doesn't really spoil anything. So I tried to go into a lot of detail, but let me know if you'd pick up any of these, or if you have read them, what your thoughts on them are. I'd love to know. I'd love to know. Let me know. And if you'd like to comment something but you're not sure what to comment, comment the open book emoji, because all of these are now partially read. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links, so don't forget to check all of that out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!